Alaska catches nearly 2/3 of the nation's seafood and also holds some of the largest oil and mineral reserves in the United States. But these resources often come into conflict, and in November, Alaskans might have to choose between these industries and the jobs that they provide. Morgan Jones has been a commercial fisherman in Homer, Alaska for nearly 20 years.
Just kind of stay off the beach, it's pretty shallow.
Fishing the same waters as his father and grandfather. But recently he's been worried about the Pebble Mine, a massive open-pit mine project proposed in Bristol Bay, where Jones catches most of his salmon. The mine company says their years of scientific studies show that salmon runs won't be affected. Jones doesn't buy it. How big of a threat is open-pit mining to what you guys do?
Just from start to finish, the open pit and habitat loss, the tailings that we have to control, the road that they want to build, the port they want to build, the dredging they want to do. Yeah, that's destructive. Salmon can't survive in that atmosphere.
That's why Alaskan fishermen have pushed Ballot Measure 1, or Prop 1, onto November's ticket. It would create some of the nation's strongest regulations on mining and oil and gas extraction in order to protect Alaska's salmon runs, which have been declining in recent years.
We're fishermen and this is our livelihood again, and we want to see some protection for this kind of shaky regulatory place we're at.
But Alaska already has some of the nation's strongest protections for salmon and other fish. Prop 1 would make them even stronger. As things stand, the state has to prove that a big project would impact healthy salmon waterways. If Prop 1 passes, the roles reverse, and the project would have to prove the habitat is not home to salmon, a drastic change to current regulation. That's why major oil and mining companies have poured nearly $10 million into convincing Alaskans across the state to vote no, including here at the Alaska State Fair.
Hi folks, have you heard about Ballot Measure 1? Have you heard about Ballot Measure 1?
You guys heard about Ballot Measure 1? It's a complete rewrite of our fish habitat regulations, and we think it's going to do some real damage to our economy.
Alaska has the highest unemployment rate in the country. Opponents say this measure could make that problem worse by killing high-paying mining jobs. Mike Sater is a former miner and works for the largest silver mine in the United States.
Well, I can tell you, I work in a mine down in southeast Alaska. This stops us in our tracks. Our next expansion that we're getting ready to do, keep employing 430 people, it stops.
Mining and oil and gas account for around 15,000 direct jobs in Alaska. The salmon industry alone creates nearly twice as many, but the campaign is still being outspent 10-1.
The campaign against Stand for Salmon is mainly sponsored by Pebble Partnership, BP, ConocoPhillips, Donalyn, those kind of large extractive industry in our state that want things to remain business as usual.
So it's the other people are inside, they're the no.
Yeah, they're the no. We're the yes.
We're the yes. We're the local. We live here. These are our fish.
We really believe it's time that we take proactive steps in order to protect our habitat, as our salmon runs are really declining rapidly right now.
We're not losing jobs. We're not shutting down no more roads. No.
Industry is basically saying that you guys are taking a wrecking ball to something that could be done with a fly swatter, that this is going to affect the entire state in unforeseen ways.
I don't believe that there's any project that would come to a halt, but it has to be certain guidelines and it has to be in the right area.
Prop 1's potential costs haven't been independently studied yet, but opponents argue they'd be impossible to measure.
You know, you look at some of these projects that are on the horizon for us in Alaska, and it would just be a deal killer.
Kara Moriarty represents some of the biggest names in oil and gas, including BP, ExxonMobil, and ConocoPhillips. These companies pay nearly $2 billion a year just in taxes to the state of Alaska. Part of the argument is that if there's a problem and it destroys a watershed, destroys salmon habitat, how do you get them to trust you?
So I don't think there's anything that we can say or evidence to show them of our amazing track record that's going to give them enough confidence that we do operate in an environmentally safe manner.
There hasn't been a major oil or mining disaster in Alaska since Exxon Valdez in 1989, an incident blamed for nearly wiping out entire species of fish. Mining opponents also point to acid drainage from the Tulsequa Chief Mine, which closed over 60 years ago, but still threatens nearly $10 million a year worth of salmon habitat. The proposed Pebble Mine would be more heavily regulated than the Tulsequa, and extraction technology has improved since its closure. But for Morgan Jones, any mining is too big a risk.
Salmon streams don't recover. That's the whole point of the ballot measures. Salmon streams take years and years and years to recover from these disruptions.
So part of the point is there's no going back.
Right. I mean, once you dig up a salmon nest, it's gone. You know, once you dig up a gravel pit, it's gone. You know, it's not like you can relay a place where salmon can spawn.